Virgo, this is your October 2023 soul story. If you have a sun rising or your moon is in the sign, then you might find this resonates for the month ahead for you. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. It's Romy here. I appreciate you. We're going to open up October with the Page of Cups. I see you actually aligning your heart and your mind incredibly well this month. And, you know, as we enter into October, Mercury is still in your sign. We're out of shadow and you're communicating with a strength and a clarity and a passion where you're really able to get your message across. When we then arrive on the 8th of the month, Venus shifts into your sign and you are not just going to tell them, you are going to show them. And it really is through your example and your openness and willingness to learn or to understand, you know, other perspectives and what can contribute to enhance what you're already doing, that you really take powerful progress and measurable strides through this month. Now, it is an intense month, perhaps the most intense, like astrologically, of the year. But that said, the energy is one that you're in a position to be able to harness and to leverage and to direct. And with that page, it tells me that there's a huge amount of like creative inspiration that sort of gets turned up for you. In fact, through this season of transition and the kind of cosmic reset you've been having, it's given you time to think. And you're perhaps considering a change through the course of October. You might feel like you still need to sit with it for a little while, but just be aware, you know, circumstances might get taken out of your hands. So don't wait for too long. We want to be out ahead of things. You know, the eclipse season, of course, always brings in that slight sort of wild card feeling about it where, you know, continuous surprises can you know, be around every corner. And the Fool is sort of, again, advocating for this, just leaping in and sort of having an outlook and an attitude that's consistent, that's considerate, that's committed to what you want, but also has this curiosity to kind of ride the wave. And I think if you can kind of really allow that to be the intentionality that sits behind you, then you're going to feel that you have made the progress that you really were seeking through this month. There are a lot of distractions coming in October, so just be prepared for that. And you can allow them to create chaos for you, or you can double down in your intention and sort of ride the cosmic wave with a sense of exhilaration and adventure. And, you know, in spite of the challenges that might still be going on and that you might still be navigating, I do see you feeling just more capable, more competent, and just more confident to sort of play with different possibilities, to experiment, to keep thinking and sort of forging ahead in some regards. You have everything that you need for what's being asked of you in October. So please remember that. You have everything that you need for what is being asked of you. What may be the case is that you're having to use it in ways that you never have before, and that might feel incredibly uncomfortable. And you might also be having to revisit, Five of Swords, situations that have felt to you like a failure, or it felt like it didn't come together, or it wasn't right, but you're ready to try again, and it will be different. And the reason it's going to be different is because you're different, okay? Now let's be aware when Venus shifts into your sign on the 8th, and it's a breath of fresh air because we've had an extended period of it being in Leo through that retrograde as well. But it's the acts of service, so it's speaking your language, you know. And remember, there's a tremendous emphasis through this month around relationships. And I think for you, I think for most of us, but especially with Virgo, there's this sort of understanding. It's like, okay, it's either repair or replace. Like I'm at a point right now where, you know, the continuation of sort of limbo land isn't really working. And because I see you having much more clarity and being able to communicate with more strength and really get your point across, it does mean that where we have like hit up against repeated patterns that have been challenging, October is a time for you to really consider, what is it that I want and what do I need? And is this a connection? And whatever form that connection takes, it's not necessarily all romantic. You know, this is coming in on all the levels. You know, is it capable at this moment of being able to provide that for me? Because we don't want a month where you're sitting in potential. We want to start to see some measurable progress with things. Now, as all of the energies have opened up from Mercury and Venus being retrograde, there's a lot of new information that's going to come to light that will be incredibly interesting. Yeah, incredibly interesting. And that in itself may give you, as we said, something new to consider that may bring about a change of heart. What I do like though is I don't see you hugely split in heart and head. I do see you kind of feeling into the right thing to do and also trusting that that too feels good within the body. Now we do need to be aware, like as I said, on the 8th when Venus shifts into Virgo, we have this kind of charged face to face with Pluto and Mars, you know, this astrological conversation that happens that's going to feel, you know, even a little like a showdown experience. And the Nine of Wands tells me that you're a bit weary around this because perhaps we've been here, we've covered this ground, and there is an exhaustion, but yet the Nine advocates, and we can see the Sun trying to break through here, perseverance. And so that breakthrough energy is imminent. And that's the difference that you'll feel in October versus perhaps what might have been playing out for you in the last few weeks. You've definitely got more of a sense of just feeling like, okay, this is going somewhere. But what we need to be aware of is that, you know, sometimes like tempers can get a bit frayed or it can feel a bit fraught. And so there's definitely some sort of challenge and roadblocks that we're going to have to navigate around that time. And remember, Pluto's going to be stationing direct in Capricorn on the 10th. So, you know, when these planets wake up from their slumber, they're a bit groggy, we get a bit dysregulated and kind of feel that jet lag energy somewhat. And we're in this like final sort of lap of Pluto in Capricorn. And we have to change. We have to be prepared for what the new way is. Yeah, the new way to be, to live. And, you know, that change is coming through in a sense of urgency to wrap things up, to tie up loose ends, to kind of clear the slate, to embark, you know, with building this new foundation. And then we have Mars going into Scorpio on the 11th, bringing about an intensity with it, but also a laser focus, which again, I think can help you. It can really serve you. Remember, Scorpio is your 3rd house. So again, it's giving you that magnetism for what you have to say. And around it is this kind of ethereal like energy with the star coming in that's incredibly hopeful. So what you also present by way of the picture or the vision to people, and again in any capacity, whether this is work or, you know, closer to home, what you're able to do is share, you know, the kind of art of the possible. And the only reason you're going to be able to do that is because you yourself have been able to recover and sort of get back on track, and you're seeing the merit and the value in something. Because remember, you know, in Libra season, it's 2nd house for you. So there's an invitation here to demonstrate your value, but be very aware of your own value. And so as we align with our hopes and dreams with that star coming through here, that kind of healing energy that you feel within yourself, but also that you bring to situations, can be incredibly inspiring. You're being prepared this month, Virgo. Can you feel it? It requires a willingness to accept a degree of the unknown. That will always be the case. That's where the Fool comes through here. We have to have blind faith at times. We have to accept that we're not meant to see everything, because if we did, we would probably look straight toward all the challenges and we'd say, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. And so we would never willingly put ourselves through what we know is going to be at times bringing us to our knees. And yet how that shapes us and how it changes us are the very things that prepare us. But you are being given almost like respite through the month of October, which I like to see, because as I said, the intensity and the sort of churned up experience that these eclipses are bringing through can at times be, you know, kind of tricky. Now, the new moon solar eclipse in Libra at 21 degrees arrives on the 14th, and it highlights to us the demands that are put upon us and that we have in our relationships. Also, the desires that exist. Are these being met? Where there's a disconnect, over the course of the next 2 years, we work with this Libra story to release, to stop accepting, to find justice and balance in those vital and important connections. And so around that mid-month, there is something that feels a little bit more hopeful and optimistic. I think you're bringing the right energy to that situation. But I think we also have to be really real with ourselves about not only where we are, but also where other people are. And even when something is meant for us, even if we feel it within every fibre of our being, we still have to participate and take action in order to learn and grow from it. And so sometimes the action is stepping back. Sometimes the action is, creating a plan that is realistic in terms of where you're now at. What we don't want is that sitting on the fence. We don't want to move into the shadow of Libran energy and kind of just feel paralyzed and unable to kind of speak and express ourselves. Now, I don't see that happening, especially with the Ace of Swords coming through. I think Virgo this month just feels better generally, mind, body, soul, and that will translate for you in being able to have more important conversations where you are able to get to the heart of things and really deal with the elephant in the room and really ensure that something is either, dealt with in a way to start repairing and healing, which it seems to be more the case, perseverance, healing, breakthrough, or, finding a way to release and seeking a replacement. I don't mean necessarily a replacement in terms of, a new person to fill that gap straight away, but with all of the energy that has been invested into that, where does that now need to go? Because that might be a really important calling for you through the course of this month that you need to really pay attention to. We also have Juno, asteroid goddess, coming into your sign on the 17th, again helping support this need for swift justice, for negotiating and diplomacy, but to ensure that you're putting yourself in a position of strength. And remember what I said, don't just tell them, show them. It will be through your example where you're able to come at things with a cool, calm outlook. And I do see you being able to do that. Now, as we make our way into Scorpio season, Mercury moves into the sign on the 21st, and then the Sun on the 23rd. You are invited to consider this as an optimal time to be able to put out into the world or to have the conversations where you're really wanting to kind of gain some ground. What is it that you're trying to achieve? Because you're shown to have like this magnetism and this kind of quality of just being able to influence and just have that extra gravitas around that time. And it's really lit up in a way that, it feels compelling to listen to you. It feels compelling to be in your energy at that time. We need to be aware because, it's a potent one, that the lunar eclipse in Taurus arrives on the 28th. And this ending of October will certainly feel dramatic. Now, remember, we're working with the veil at its thinnest in this month as we approach Samhain Halloween. So your capacity to be able to receive, your heightened awareness, your psychic intuition, but also to pick up lower vibrational attachments and energies is also strengthened. So be very mindful around your energetic hygiene. But this lunar eclipse in Taurus arrives at 5 degrees, and we are closing out the story that began in November 2021. So this is not old news. This is a resolution, and I've learned the lesson and I'm ready to move on from this experience. That's what this lunar eclipse is about. It's challenged because it's aspected by Mercury, Mars and Jupiter in less desirable ways than we might like, which brings about more drama. It brings about some exaggerated influences. So you might have to swim against the tide here. You might have to really sort of stand up for yourself. And more than anything, as you may feel triggered on an emotional level, or swept up or caught up in some of the chaos that ensues, what you have to remember is, what are my lessons here? What has been showing up repeatedly for me through this soul story of the Taurus-Scorpio axis? It will have hit on your sense of security in some way. Taurus, of course, for you, Virgo, is in that 9th house. So the expansion of your whole spirituality and the purpose that you have in that way has also been challenged. So what have you gained from the experience? Because what the universe is looking for is that you find closure. And remember, we have to give closure to ourselves often. We do have intervention from Saturn coming in with a little bit more of a level head. It's a bit harmonious. It will help you to turn things around, especially if they feel like they get out of hand, which can often be the case. You know, when you've had the intensity that comes through with, months like these. Over and above that, we want to be aware that as we make our way towards the 31st, still very much under the shadow of that eclipse, we have Samhain and Halloween, and we've got a Venus trine Uranus. So there is a beautiful blessing, an unexpected, surprising announcement, delivery, message, information, experience, situation that occurs. Yeah, that again, I think will help if you have gotten on the right side of that eclipse, i.e., I have adjusted my behaviour accordingly. My emotional response is based on who I have become, not who I was. Then you're set to see something that will give an immense amount of validation. But it does feel intense, and you might still be feeling a little bit kind of riled in some way from that experience. For some of you, though, it could just feel the high. It could feel the high of kind of finally releasing and knowing that something is closing out and that you can finally let something go. You know, there are months that ask questions, months that deliver answers. And October is a month that is delivering answer after answer. Not all of them expected, not all of them necessarily wanted, but nonetheless, you know, the information is power. And then you're in a place where you have possibilities and options. And then you get to consider what's going to be right for me. So there's a warp speed sort of energy that comes in. That also means manifestations can come through fast. So again, even where we felt like something was going to take a lot longer, what we see happening is it's showing up now, but it also needs to be dealt with now. The opportunity needs to be seized now. So if you're new to the channel, Virgo, our last 3 cards we cover off in the extended version of my reading, talk for another 30 minutes or so. We'll also look at a personal question and a relationship card for you. You'll find the link for that below. What I'm doing now is just clarifying this main reading to see the direction that we might be taking that extended reading, and it helps us to just go a little bit deeper into some of these messages and what they want to share with us, okay? All the decks I use are listed in the comment and description box underneath. Another ace coming through. You see, this is why I'm telling you that your heart and mind is aligned and that you're communicating with such transparency and truth this month. You really will lead and set an example for yourself and others. Emperor, Knight of Cups. Okay, what about this star energy? What do we have? Justice, beautiful. My soul guided meditations this month are an eclipse activation. Please check that out. It will be super supportive for the new moon solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse. We also have a journey to explore connecting with your spirit guides. Okay, again, you can find that over in my Sacred Soul Support Library, which has a whole wealth of journeys to connect to if you feel resonance with my work. Okay, 8 of Pentacles, 3 of Cups. Put one more there, Empress. Okay. Right, let's go ahead and pull some oracle cards for you for October, Virgo. This is my own deck, Life Soul Visions. So again, if you enjoy my work, please check out this sacred title along with my book, MUSINGS. That's available over on Amazon. Let's see what we have for you. Detours from the Divine. Not unexpected in eclipse season, eclipse revelations. Yeah, makes sense. Blossoming Soul Song. You are coming into your own in this season with regards to something. Soothe your soul. Beautiful. Sometimes you can't help how you feel. Sometimes there's no logical way to explain it. It doesn't make sense on paper. And even if you try to explain it to others. But you have to honor it because it holds the way for you to uniquely experience something, which means that you have to fight for it. And it means that it will be worth it. And there's definitely that kind of a feeling for you in the month of October. So the more out there, the more ludicrous, the more something does not make sense, the more you're being invited to trust. Okay, let's just pull a couple more oracles. See what we will be exploring for your extended reading, Virgo. We have Aspen Spirit, Courage, beautiful, like that for you. And finally, the Garden and the Gate. Okay, gonna leave it there. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you'll join me for the extended version. I wish you a beautiful month of October. Enjoy your celebrations and your rituals for Samhain, Halloween. And I'll see you next time. Bye.